a lot of openings? Or
Yeah, there's a lot. I was down in Metro yesterday afternoon. There's a lot of snow.
Take care of the people.
Ready to go?
Yep.
5 o'clock, we'll open this meeting. And we're here to have about 5 different entities give us some updates on what's happening. And the first one up tonight is the school. So, you know,
All right.
well, first.
Great. All right. Well, I will keep this kind of short and sweet, but I have just a few areas that I wanted to kind of highlight for you that have been going on at the school. First and foremost, I guess I'm going to just acknowledge the support and thank the community for supporting the referendum. That was a big sigh of relief for us as we look at some consistency in our funding over the next 10 years. And so, you know, we did have, I don't for a minute discount that it was a close vote, and so I think it's really important for the school district to engage with the community and find out what is the closeness about. You know, I know we're in some just unpredictable economic times, and I know that can have an impact on how, you know, people think long-term about the financial status of taxation and such. So I honor that and I recognize that, but I just wanted to take a minute to just reflect on the referendum that came through and say thank you to our community for the support that we did receive. An update on our enrollment. As of today, our enrollment is 892 students. We have 396 at the elementary and 496 at the secondary. So a little bit up from the start of the school year, but pretty solid numbers there. One of the things I wanted to just acknowledge also and bring forward again is the focus of the school district with our strategic plan. Our strategic plan has kind of 3 prongs that we focus on and that really drive the decision making that the school board engages in. First, we are focused on growth, and so we're looking at emotional and physical, intellectual and social wellness and the growth of the individuals, students, staff, and our community in those areas. And so some of the things that we will continue working on over the course of the next year are what are the activities that we're doing that are supporting each of those areas to grow and to enhance the areas that we already have in place in each of those 3 subsets within the growth prong. The second thing that the district is really working on is having some clear and concise and transparent communication. I think you know, communication is one of the things that you can talk to somebody and they might say, yep, that was great, completely understand. You can talk to somebody else and they say, I have no idea what you're talking about. It was clear as mud. So I think that's one of our jobs as the school district is looking at how we're communicating and how we're communicating issues everywhere from school closures to what's happening with the strategic plan. So how we're getting information out to the community. So communication is one of the areas of focus within the school district. And then the third area that's been a priority for the school district is fiscal stewardship. And I think that's important, especially as we come off of the referendum, understanding that our resources are finite and we have to be focused on the areas that we target our resources. And so having those align with the growth and communication areas, and obviously when we talk about student achievement and all of the things that are required, that is part of our focus as well. But so our strategic plan, that's one of I wanted to highlight those 3 areas because that's part of what drives the work that the district does. And then lastly, I just wanted to kind of bring forward some of the legislative focus that I've been hearing, and that the organizations that our school district is part of, they are really going to be advocating legislatively for increased funding for our school districts. I mean, we all know that the state of Minnesota is sitting on quite a bit of money, and the more money you have, the more conflict you usually have about how to spend that money. So we all have a lot of, I guess, asks, but the organizations that our school district is members with are really talking about relief for our taxpayers and understanding that if we have more consistent and predictable funding that comes into the school district, then we can alleviate some of the impact for our our taxpayers and not have to come back to our taxpayers as frequently. So I just wanted to bring that forward, that is something that remains on our radar, and that's something that we continue to ask our legislators. And with that, I'll open it up for questions from you. Yeah.
I think you hit on it in the last statement here on funding. Our governor, which was reelected, had a campaign promise of fully funding education.
Yeah.
Fully funded probably doesn't mean what we think it means.
Yeah. Yep. And I think that's
That's
a great
great.
question, because what does that mean? And what does fully funding education mean when you look at, are we talking about the mandates that are completely funding those mandates? Is that what fully funding schools mean? Does it mean consistent and equitable across the state for every, that's a
And
great.
that was never explained because it's a campaign
Right.
stuff.
Yep.
And with his party in control of all three branches, maybe he can get something done, but it depends what fully funded means.
Yep. And I did hear, I've heard a number of people that are putting together platforms for the legislature around whether it's a percentage on the formula or, or if it is increased money to help the cross subsidy, which is the excess cost for services that are mandated for special education and English language learners. So I think those are the unanswered questions that we sit with right now, is what does that mean, and where is the focus? Another area that does come up, and I know that families are certainly experiencing the shift and the change of not having free lunches. That has been something that over the last 2 school years, families have not had to pay for school lunches. And this year, now we are back to paying for school lunches. And I know that's something that was also in the governor's most recent statements of funding the lunch program. That's a significant amount of money that's going to be, so again, the more money you have, the more people are going to ask for it. But it's another area that would certainly impact our families and change some of the outcome for some of our kiddos.
I should have started with you introducing yourself, Janelle.
I'm so sorry, Janelle Bullard, the superintendent from Painesville Area Schools. Traditionally, Jake is here with me, and he wasn't able to make it this evening, so my apologies for that.
I should have said it first.
Yeah, no, that's.
Anybody else have any questions?
Otherwise, I guess I have another. Maybe we all got the program talking about conservation crew and for schools. We're not Title I, are we?
We do receive title service. We have title funding, yes.
Because it says something about a Title I school. They provide most of the cost. I'll give this to you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Just see if it's something that, I read it and I thought it might not be the worst thing, and we're all going green, I guess.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. I'll take a look at it. Thank you.
Well, if there's nothing next on our list is the township, and nobody's here from the township.
Okay.
Where is the township?
Yeah, where are they?
I'll make the statement that I'm highly disappointed.
It's the third down the road.
I hope the township people sooner or later elect officials that want to be involved.
So since they are not here, we have Center Care. So if you guys want to tell us who you are.
Absolutely. Good evening, my name is Craig Henneman. As you guys know, Brandon did officially retire and moved to sunny Florida. I am the new president for Painesville Hospital. I'm in day number 3, so I just got started on Monday. I've been with Center Care for 17 years myself. My wife and 2 young boys. I was born and raised in Kimball, Minnesota. That's where we currently reside. So a small community there, and excited to be here. I have some updates, but I'll let Steve introduce himself as well.
I'm Steve Stang, manager of EMS for CentraCare. I oversee not only Painesville, I oversee Benson and Long Prairie also, so the Northwest region for CentraCare. You've seen me here before. I'm a native of Painesville, been here a lot of years, so Just here to maybe give you a little bit of an update as we go along here and answer any questions that you might have for EMS.
So a couple updates I have for the group. Obviously, the thing we're most excited about locally at the campus here is the construction update. As this group knows, that got underway last spring. That's a 2.5-year project. We're in phase 1. About halfway through, a lot of progress has been made. The shell is up. That's anticipated to be done probably May or June of next year, so 6 or 7 months to go. The primary concept in that space is going to be new inpatient rooms, which we're excited about, and how we utilize that space and serve our patients in the community. They're actually starting to hang sheetrock on the walls this week. They're anticipating starting to lay some tile in a couple of weeks and putting some paint on the walls. So Lawrence and team are moving along very nicely, and we're excited about that. Once that phase finishes up, we'll then move into phase 2, which will be the ED area and other specialty areas from that perspective. That's anticipated to take another year roughly, with the project completed around spring of 2024 from that nature. So things are moving as planned. A couple supply chain things here and there. We talk about getting, whether it's windows or certain vents, things of that nature, but we're pleased with the progress and how things look from that perspective. A couple other updates locally. We continue to see high volumes in relation to COVID. Our hospitals are busy, Paynesville's busy. We're still seeing high emergency department volumes. We're probably about 30% above volume ED here compared to pre-COVID times. I think it's a consistent thing we're hearing, whether it's St. Cloud, the cities, that's just the reality of the fact. A big thing that we're facing right now, as well as people hear in the news, is the RSV for kids, influenza, all of that. That's really impacted the community here statewide. That's created bed shortages, kind of how we manage and react to that from that perspective. So that's something that's real. I got a report this morning as well, statewide, we're at about 560 patients in the hospital with COVID. That's the highest number it's been since probably 4 or 5 months ago, so that number's increasing as well. So something we're monitoring both locally for our hospital, how we manage that through our enterprise, and how we partner with our facilities throughout the state to take care of those patients and things of that nature. But we here at Paynesville are still offering COVID services, right? Immunizations, testing, you name it. So we're still doing our best to serve patients that have need from that perspective. When it comes to a services standpoint, we're pleased to announce Crystal Fleischhacker. She's a new APP in Eden Valley Clinic. Dr. Dan O'Connor is a new physician that is primarily out of Richmond. To bring him on board and get them up to speed, so we're excited about that as well. We worked and expanded our telehealth services that we offer communities here for people that aren't able to make it to our building and that prefer that service yet, knowing that they're not feeling well. We expanded our wound care services up to 3 days a week now here in Paynesville as well, so happy to increase that service as well. Some other things that we worked on, you guys might have heard about it, what's happened before my time, but we did officially transition Washburn Court to Fortitude Senior Living. That did take place here over the past 6 months. That has been finalized from that perspective. And then we continue to talk about things of how we look at renovating our clinic space, looking at potentially a new MRI machine for the hospital, knowing that that one currently sits outside the hospital with space added onto it, how we bring that into the hospital and kind of bring that into our imaging facility. So looking at that as well. So high-level details, that's what I know 3 days into the role. I definitely will be learning a lot more in the coming days and months, but excited to be here and I'll get to know more people in the community. Got the chance to meet Bruce Stang and others last night at our advisory board meetings, so looking to set up appointments with business owners in the school. I'll make myself available from that standpoint. So that's my update for the Paynesville Hospital.
Okay, well, welcome aboard.
Okay.
I have a question for you.
Absolutely.
Would there be new hires along with the new building going up?
Yeah, I honestly don't know that detail right now from that perspective. I do know a lot of it's the facelift part of it, right? So when we move into those new inpatient rooms, we'll be shutting down the old ones we renovated. So majority of it's kind of that facelift and shifting things. I can't speak exactly to an increase in FTE and RNs or some APPs potentially, and I can get that information.
Okay.
I know a lot of it's the facelift and moving existing services to a new updated space with technology and all that.
Sure. Okay. Right now, where the ambulance garage is, there's a good chance that might have to be relocated somewhere in the future. Are you aware of that yet?
I'm not.
Okay.
As far as like us
Yeah.
being relocated? Okay.
Yeah. Well,
I think it was more of a question of would they want to relocate, not are they going to?
Well, yeah, that's more than likely what it was.
Yeah.
And that's why I was going to turn it over to you. So, So,
It's been talked about that the city could have a need for that building.
Okay.
And we want to, if that's what we're going to do, we want to let you have time.
So that, it has been discussed, and of course, with Craig being day 3, it's something that we haven't had a chance to talk about, but Brandon and I had, we've had this conversation, and it's come up probably just, off the record, so to speak. We have some plans, if that is the case, and I think those plans would take place after the remodel at the main campus. So,
How many years do we have left on there was a 20-year contract?
Yeah, I think they're halfway through it maybe, so they.
Yeah, so I mean, there's time. It's
yeah, absolutely. So
today
there
or tomorrow.
You saw that, you heard the time that we have with the campus, and I think that, we probably have another location that is suitable for us to move into, if that's the city's request, that, we talk about that, and if that building is in need of, going back to the city property, so.
I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess I answered, and I wasn't aware, but we've had some conversations, but nothing in stone of a date or
Yeah.
anything like that. So,
I'm sure we're going to let you,
Plenty of time.
Yeah, just so we're all on the same page and there's no surprises.
yeah, well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I have a question. I can't remember where I heard it, but there's some negotiations going on for the emergency entrance with the wanting to be moved to, like, is that First Street, or it's by the MRI machine. And I guess the police chief said that's not a good, so where are we at with that?
Yeah, I can definitely follow, you can speak to it, Steve. I have not attended the construction meeting yet. In this first week, I'll definitely be happy to bring that update or send a note or follow an email and do that, but maybe Steve has some information.
I do, that actually did come, Paul had furthered that along with, some others that showed that concern, that as we look at the north side of the complex, and I think in this phase, to move that entrance where EMS is dropping off patients, basically being kind of on the south side of Augusta, on the north side of the ambulance, and basically having to have to turn the truck around to drop a patient off in that location. I think that was Paul's concern, Chief Paul Wagner's concern, that's maybe not a great idea. So we are re-looking at that to see what alternatives we have, probably bringing traffic in from the west versus the east, and then we can just pull off next to the building. There's a ramp that's being built and it's temporary. I mean, it's not going to be a permanent site where EMS is going to be dropping off. But as we go into that next phase, I think that's the reason that we had to approach the hospital from a different.
When everything's said and done, you're going to have the emergency drop off like now where it's inside the
Yes. Doors come down and there's room for a truck inside. And
Because it was really nice what you have now, so.
absolutely, and very similar to what we have now, just entering at a different angle and different side. But that is the final plans, to have it inside drop off.
Anybody have anything else?
I don't.
You guys have anything else? If not,
No, I can just add from EMS perspective, one of the things, and I know it's been probably 8 months since I've been here at a meeting, just to give an update, but within our department, and we're, as we call it, a system department, we have locations at several different locations other than just Painesville, but access really to about 22 trucks, 3 of them located here, a staff of about 25, and as we talked about volume increases in the inner hospital, our volumes have increased over the last year also. So as a system department, a year ago we were at about 12,000 calls, and right now we're going to, probably at the end of 22, we're going to peak at about 15,000 calls. So that's interfacility transfers from hospital to hospital and 911 calls. So we, like the hospital setting, extremely busy. We continue to have people when we can financially do that in trucks. As a lot of different entities, it's been a challenge to try to get new trucks and different types of things. And you hear that from a lot of business standpoints. But we continue to try to serve the best we can, and hope we are able to continue doing that for you.
That's it with CentraCare? Thank you. Jacob, you are up for the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, Jacob Bertram is Executive Director of the Painesville Chamber. We have a board of 8 members that are also part of the Chamber, and I appreciate you inviting me here to be a part of the community working session. We host about 5 or 6 events each year. The first event we have in January is our annual meeting, which is coming up. Believe it or not, January 14th is the tentative date we have for our annual meeting. We hope that we can have representation from the school, the city, and as well as CentraCare and the community itself. We always said that event has been very well attended, and it's a great way to show the community's support. We also have our community awards that take place that night for the best business of the year, the person of the year. We have a grand marshal that we select. So the different awards, as well as the para awards with the school, are get awarded that night. The biggest event that we host is the Town and Country Days, which includes the carnival as well as the parade. We have different kids' night activities as well during the week. We've seen a lot of people enjoy that. Our ticket sales were quite well the last couple of years, especially after not having it in 2020. And it's been great to have that activity back again for everyone and the community. In August, we have a craft fair and car show, which we invite the local car gurus to come around, and so is the craft fair. We host that downtown, and pretty much all our events are located downtown. In October, we have a trunk or treat event, which we have kids coming around to get candy from the local businesses who are in the area, and we'll also sign up for it. And that was very well attended this year. We had over 600 kids line up for that. They had it was over by West James Street, so they had a line from Jumpstart Nutrition all the way to Business 23. So people waited in line quite a long time to get their candy, but they really enjoyed it, is what we've been hearing. And then we also just finished up our Small Business Saturday event, which we had 12 businesses be a part of a passport, where each person had to go to each business to get a check mark stamp, and then they could be entered to win $100 in chamber bucks. And we awarded that at the city's annual lighting, which was last Saturday. I heard a lot of good comments about that as well. The businesses were happy that people were able to walk into their business. I also commend Megan Councilor Brick for supporting that and getting everything together. It really looked nice, and for the Public Works for getting the lights up and the big 30-plus foot tree up as well. I know that can't be an easy task, but it looked pretty nice. It definitely had well attended as well, and we were glad to be a part of that. We have over 100 members in our Chamber of Commerce, which includes members in the Painesville area and the community. The city being a member, Tarek, Neil is a member, the school is a member, as well as CentraCare. So we're glad to have the community support each other. At the end of the day, we're all going for the same goal, and it's to grow our community. So the support for everyone is really great to see, and really keep that moving forward. That's kind of the point of the chamber and the visitor bureau that we have here established to get something going, to get people that want to stay here and be able to have a thriving community. So I think I touched on everything I wanted to talk about. If there's any questions, any further questions, we can get that taken care of too.
I think one of the things that Sean wanted is an update on the lodging tax, how that's been working and how much we've generated so far with it.
Yeah, so people, if they aren't aware, we started collecting January 1st. There's a Minnesota state lodging tax, which takes 3% of the lodging facilities. So in the city of Painesville, we have the Painesville Inn Suites, and then in the township, we have Bugby High Resort. So 3% of the people's stay goes into the lodging tax. I don't have the exact amount of what we have right now, but that collection so far has been going well. We haven't spent on too much at the moment. We are having meetings, advisory meetings that the city, the township, the Bugby Hive, and the hotel have participation in. Target's involved with that. Just kind of to see what areas we should be focusing on, what areas we can. It is a state statute that we only can be promoting Paynesville and the community, so there's certain things we can spend the money on, some that we can't. So we're still looking at that, but overall, it's been a great year, kind of building up the bank to see what we can do moving forward.
Yeah, and I'll give you an example of some of the things that we can and can't spend money on. For example, Town and Country Days. Lodging tax can't be used to give as a sponsor or donation or any support for Town and Country Days. However, money can be used to advertise for Town and Country Days in any form of, yeah. Same thing with the air show. I mean, we can't give, or the lodging tax cannot be used for sponsorship or paying for anything related to the air show, but they can pay to advertise the air show and get people to come to town. So it's really to use for marketing and advertising purposes. Anything basically that will bring people to come into Paynesville, preferably to stay at one of the lodging facilities. That's what they would consider good use of funds. So we can't use them to buy tree lights.
Unfortunately.
And part of it too, the chamber does have a billboard, which is on 23, that the city used to take care of. So if you're driving by, you want to see it, that's up and ready. We also have a mobile app on our phone that lists all our members, the different events that are going on. There's quite a few different information on there, so I encourage everyone to download that and to take a look at it.
The question that I've been asked by several people here and people that are not here too is, we developed that promotional map that we did in the summer. They were hoping to see one for the winter, and they haven't seen one, so they're asking me what's going on with that. I think they'd like to see something more, I guess, seasonal or periodical, so maybe answer that if you have any plans to, take that over and do it again in some form of winter-summer cycle.
Yeah, absolutely. And Target, you've been involved in some of the conversation that we have. We're trying to connect with the Coronas Snowmobilers Association just to get their map for the snowmobile trails in the area. Hopefully have one highlighted of the Paynesville area so we can have the trails going through as well as the businesses that are going on that. We're still connected with the Coronas Snowmobiler Association, so we're still planning that as well. And by the time that comes through, we should be able to get something together, I would think, for the winter now, and especially for seasonal, to get something then ready to go for sure by summer, spring.
Yeah, no, because I am being asked that quite a bit actually on to see something else happen with that.
Well, I've got a question for you. Would this funding be allowed for, say, having a booth at a trade show? Because usually in this latter part of winter is when down in the cities those open up, and they're quite heavily attended. So would that qualify for it, that funding?
I guess I could double check on that, Councilor Paul, but I can see it being promoting of Paynesville, so I would think that should qualify for some use of that.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think it's
You
not.
get something as simple as an aquarium with fish out there, and people are gonna go, they got lakes, let's fish it.
Right, yeah.
Something like that.
Yep.
And then, of course, to have, rugby's in the Paynesville End, well, we got a place for you to stay too, things like that.
And is there a certain convention that you have in mind or you're thinking about, or what?
Yeah, the sportsman show,
Oh,
where
sure.
they've got boats are big and campers, and then people need a place to go. And I've been going to those for years, and they're quite effective. I mean, Brainerd and the Walker area just about flood that place with their boats and whatever gimmick they can get somebody to stop.
Okay.
So, and all we're going to need is Janelle to be there handing out the flyers.
Yes.
So I've had some questions about whether or not we should reduce it from 3% if it is going to be more strict than we initially thought going into it as to what the funds can be spent on.
But, so are we kind of at the point, I've been trying to make it to one of the meetings, but it's, been a conflict. But so are we trying to get to the point where we have a better working idea of what we can spend it on, and then we're going to have a more of an aggressive tourism plan, or I guess aggressive sounds like their own word, but you know what I mean. Is that kind of where we are, that we're attempting to figure out what it can be spent on and go from there?
Yeah, I would say that's a good starting point. We've been connecting with Explore Minnesota, which is the visitor bureau of the state.
Okay.
They suggested a few items for us to complete to have a better focus on what we should be focusing on, like the
Sure.
businesses in the area, the events seasonally, what people can do, things to do. So we developed that in our last meeting. We're going to send that into Explore Minnesota. We have a certain rep that we talk with or communicate with. So we're planning on that, and then kind of moving forward from there to get something for the winter, and then to see what we can use the funds for.
Sure.
Yeah, I think we're clear on what the funds can be used for.
Okay.
Just now we need to plan and implement something.
I'm just being a mouthpiece.
I hear the stuff too.
Thank you.
I don't think it's ever an issue of spending funds. It's usually the other way around.
Yeah.
Can we find some funds? So I wouldn't want to make a cut until it,
Yeah.
if it got to the point where you got 50,000 in an account and you're spending 10, then we could look at it, but not to let it build.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll find an
And,
effective use for it.
like what Paul talked about, is that the event at the River Center?
It's usually at the Minneapolis Convention Center, and then there's one over in St.
St.
Paul.
Cloud.
I mean,
St. Cloud.
I've gone.
Oh, yeah, over St. Paul too.
And a lot of resorts from Canada and their programs, but I wouldn't doubt a table is thousands of dollars. I'm not sure it's not a $50 table, it's high buck resorts and whatnot, but it'd be okay to look, I mean,
Yeah,
a
right.
lot of traffic.
Yep.
One other thing that had happened up here years ago that was very popular and very used was a fishing contest. You remember Doc Ray's that used to have that cooler? You walk in and people look at these fish, want to know where you caught them, what kind of bait, they buy them, do whatever. Do you think the council would be interested in maybe working with someone or something, but to at least give that exposure? As a fishing contest of some sort, or?
Yeah, I guess then part of it too is the events that are going to be hosted of whether or not the chamber should be in the way of hosting that. If a different entity wanted to host that and put it on, we can help do what we can to promote it. And that might be a good spot for that. But we definitely can take a look at that and see if that's something that we should be moving forward with.
Maybe the Sportsman's Club would get
That's what I
involved with something like that.
Yep.
Good idea.
And I don't know, nowadays, I know what you're talking about. They had the freezer and Northerns there. As a kid,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure, but still you could weigh and have a prize or whatever, it's something that could be.
And it was usually a weekly contest and then an overall for the biggest, so you'd have customers coming and going all the time. That's just a thought.
Yeah, I know in that Bugview High Resort mentioned too that they had a couple of fishing tournaments out there, especially in the winter too. So that could be something that potentially they would want to be facilitating.
Sure.
And that's kind of the facility, and then they can stay there if they'd like, or to have them come to the Painesville city and kind of go that from that perspective.
In winter events, you got your hockey arena and your outdoor rink and your, can't forget Killer Hill.
Now that it's settled anyway.
That's right, yeah. Definitely want to promote that.
Yes. Well, we're going to have even more lights next year at the tree lighting, so get the word out.
I was 5 years younger, I'd go down.
We still can get you down, you know.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
It's getting up there.
That would be another.
All right, any Anybody else have anything for Jacob? All right, then it's our turn. Tara,
Sure, I can start off.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll take it from just kind of a broad overview here of what we're looking at, especially when we're looking at economic development. Two things are housing and new business. And in terms of housing, we are looking at attracting housing developers here. And there's one developer in particular where we're having some talks with. They've shown some interest in some of the land that we have. We have 13 acres behind John Deere in town. And we're considering working with one or more developers to develop that into a combination of multifamily, like apartments, townhomes, patio homes, single family, just a combination of that. We've talked to 4 developers, and one of them so far seems most interested, so we're trying to pursue that and see where it goes. For economic development, one of the things, issues that I've been working on since I've been here is trying to expand the industrial park, what we're calling a new industrial park, but that's been more challenging to do because in order to get the infrastructure done, there's a lot of grants involved in that and application process. And so we have looked at a few sites. We haven't nailed one down yet, but we do have a company, and they're actually coming to talk here at 6. It's the Renewable Energy Company, looking for a good parcel of land in town, and they're talking with one of the owners of land in town already. If that deal works out, that could be a kickstart for the site of a new industrial park, beginning with this company. So that's something we're excited about as well. In terms of, City Hall, city staff, what we're doing, I don't know if you're aware, but we have extended our hours on Monday, so we're open at 6, and we're the only one in the area that's open on 6, or till 6 on Mondays. It was a toss-up. Do we open late on some days or one day, or do we open on weekends? And Litchfield is already open on Saturdays, so we decided let's be open late one night and on Monday night, for example, and then that way we can try to serve the broader community here. That already started on November 14th, and the fire department is looking at hiring 3 new firefighters. They do need some more applicants. So I know they had a cutoff date already, but they're so short and they would like to have some more applicants. Anyone interested? Police department, we have, I would say we're fully staffed right now in the police department, and I think we're very fortunate because a lot of the police departments in the state, actually in the country, are facing challenges in recruiting and retaining police officers. So right now we're at the point where we're good on that, and I think that's something we should mark ourselves as having an achievement there. That's just kind of my quick summary. I don't know if anybody else wants to add something, or did I miss anything?
Well, the fire department's ordered a new truck too.
Yeah.
For next year.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, we don't know yet.
Well, hopefully, it's a truck issue.
Yeah, we ordered other trucks and they're not here
I was
yet.
gonna say, Ron's still waiting for a truck.
Yeah.
Truck issues.
Public Works, I believe, is waiting for 2.
Yep, and still no date in sight.
The one's been on order, going on this 2nd year? So, and that's like you said before, I'm sure ambulances are the same thing.
We ordered 3 trucks about a year and a half ago, and we're hopeful for a spring delivery.
We don't even have that.
We're hopeful.
And we were lucky on the fire truck, it's,
They got one that they had, already had the chassis, so
right.
they were able to get it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm on the trail board with the township, and we're looking at funding to connect the trail out south of, or out by, coming in from Wilmer to the one out north of town here. So that's taking some work, taking some funding, been turned down, but takes a couple times to apply to it. So we're working on,
Applying again, yeah.
yeah, we're doing it again.
Working on the shelter for Ampey Park.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, new shelter.
We've received some good funding for that already. The kickstart for that, we're trying to build a shelter in Ampey Park because there's no seating, no bathroom, there's really no facilities there right now, and it's quite heavily used for the soccer fields in summer. We put together a plan to build a shelter there, an open space shelter, bathrooms, etc., and eventually, phase 2 will be playgrounds and maybe some other facilities there. But in the meantime, what will kickstart this is we're applying for a 50/50 grant match. If we didn't get that last year, if we do get it this year, that will, give us the red light or the green light to go ahead and start that process. We've received grant funding from the Blandon Foundation, thanks to Megan. We received funding from the Lions, as well as the Painesville Foundation. So I think, and also Magnify Financial. So all of them have contributed so far, so we're very lucky to have that. We're just waiting on that 50/50 grant, and then we can begin.
I think we're hopeful that a more usable space over there might kickstart the sale of some of the lots that the city has in the area as well. So that would be nice. Yeah, I don't know.
I can't think of anything else.
Keeping the ship upright.
Plugging along.
Yeah.
That's all for tonight, so we want to thank you guys for all coming and updating us on everything.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
It's good.
Thank you for.
Thank you.
And we're looking at another meeting in April?
Welcome.
Yeah. Okay.
In the spring.
Oh, yeah.
More than today.
I hear you.
When it was the campaign, right? You think
Me too.
Yes.
schools.
Well, this was before they asked him to find out his function.
You was a new member of the chamber board.
But any